So November is almost over, and then we've just got December, and then obviously we'll be in 2014. So I thought it would be a cool time to talk about what your picks were for Game of the Year for 2013. Now, I'm going to be sharing kind of what my thought process is behind picking what I think is my Game of the Year. But remember, there's no right or wrong answers here. I'd just like to hear what you guys, think about your Game of the Year and why you think it's your Game of the Year in the comments below. Now, I've checked a lot of articles online and a lot of different blogs and stuff, and it seems like the same 5 games keep coming up. Okay, you've got your COD Ghost, you've got your Battlefield 4, you've got The Last of Us, you have Grand Theft Auto 5, and then you have BioShock Infinite. Those seem to be the 5 games that are on everybody's list. Now, the number 1 game is obviously different depending on which list you look at, but those seem to be the 5 that most would say are representative of what would be the Game of the Year for 2013. So that's kind of where I'm going to be taking this commentary. But obviously, if you think a game was awesome and it's not, within these 5, then let me know in the comments below. So right off the bat, I'm getting rid of Battlefield 4 and Call of Duty Ghosts from my personal list. Those will never be games of the year for me. I know that Call of Duty tends to win some awards every year, but for me, it's the same thing. And a lot of my experience with those games is online multiplayer. I mean, the stories for both of those, at least the campaigns, are usually fairly short. Now, I haven't played either one of them yet, but my guess is that they're pretty much the same length that they always are. And so if you're not really playing online multiplayer with those games, you're really not getting your $60 worth, in my opinion. And because most of the experience that you're going to have is on online multiplayer, and you never really know what kind of experience you're going to have, because sometimes you play with idiots, sometimes you play with cool people, I don't see how that could ever be, the Game of the Year. In other words, when you play a game and you play just the campaign, you know what you're going to get. Everybody's going to kind of experience the exact same thing. But once you move that into multiplayer, it really just depends on the social aspect of things. And to me, that's too much of randomness, right? That's too much of a random thing for me to say, yes, this is my Game of the Year for 2013. All right, so that leaves us 3 games: BioShock Infinite, The Last of Us, and Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, the next one I'm going to be eliminating on my list is Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, a lot of you guys know that I don't play Grand Theft Auto franchise, never have, never will. It just doesn't interest me. But I'm going to be eliminating that game not because of my personal feelings about the game, but just because the game came to market so broken. Articles, I've read plenty of forums from actual Grand Theft Auto fans who love the game. You can go watch their channel and you can tell that they really love the game. And prior to the game's release, they were like, dude, I can't wait for this game. This is going to be the greatest game ever. And then you watch all their videos and you get to after the launch of the game, and then it's completely different. And to me, that speaks volumes. When you have a channel out there who's promoting a game and then the game finally drops, and then every video after that is, I can't believe I bought this, I want my money back, etc., then that lets me know that it probably should not be Game of the Year for me. Made a lot of money. I mean, we all the time see things in this world that sell well. But just because something sells well doesn't mean it's the best game out in that particular year, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Grand Theft Auto 5, and now I got 2 left. Alright, so I got BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us. So I'm going to go ahead and exclude The Last of Us. And you say, well, why would you exclude The Last of Us? Well, it was broken. I caught the issue where I lost my save file. And if you're unfamiliar with what it was the save glitch. That happened where you just will lose your save file, and I think I lost like 7 hours of playtime, and that's a pretty long campaign to just kind of like replay back through. You take a game like Crisis 3, you lose your information in that game. I can beat that game in like 3 hours, less than 3 hours. So if you lose your progress in a game like that, it's really not that big of a deal. But when you're talking about something like The Last of Us, where it's freaking 12 to 15 hours of gameplay, sometimes even more, and you lose pretty much half the game, that's a big deal. So I'm going to exclude The Last of Us on the premise that, again, it came broken. So I cannot have that inside of my Game of the Year. So that pretty much leaves me with BioShock Infinite. And I did really enjoy BioShock Infinite, and to me it was the least buggy game that I played this year. You know what I mean? It did have its issues too, but it was the least buggy game. It had a really good story, and the mechanics were sound. You know what I mean? And to me, that is my game of the year. I want a game that's as polished as possible and that delivers a really good campaign. Now let me go ahead and say this. If The Last of Us, if I would have not experienced the save glitch in The Last of Us, and my experience wouldn't have been tainted like that, The Last of Us could have easily been my game of the year. Easily. But the way that I consume product, the way that I look at video games, the way that I interact with media on that level may be different than the way that you guys do. You know, when there's an issue such as a game not working, or like for instance Grand Theft Auto, even if I'd have been a huge fan of Grand Theft Auto 5 and I would have bought it, and I would have bought it to be playing online and all that kind of stuff, and I was losing my characters and losing my money and all that stuff online, it wouldn't change the outcome of how I feel about it. You know, if a game doesn't ship where it works correctly, then it's broken. And in my mind, the way that I consume media, there's no broken game out there that should ever become the game of the year. You know, that's almost like rewarding failure. At that point, you're basically saying that we can release games that don't work and still become the best game of the year. You see what I mean? And I just don't agree with that philosophy. So if I had to choose between those 5 games, just based on the way that I play media and play games, it would have to be, you know, BioShock Infinite. All right, so that's my pick. I'd love to hear what you guys thought was your game of the year. Like I said, it may be a game that's not even on this list at all. You know, maybe that's the case. Let me know in the comments below and defend your arguments, people. You know, give me some reasons why you think that your game is the game of the year. I know that people are gonna hate me for saying that, you know, mine was BioShock Infinite, that I didn't pick The Last of Us, that I didn't pick Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, and that's cool. It's okay to disagree. But, you know, defend your argument. Let me know why you think your game was the game of the year, and we'll hash it out in the comments below. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's show, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Be good.